Why, hello everyone. Welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for joining me today. I have a super special, super informative video for you today. On my last video, which I will link right here, I gave you a review of the Lyra Polycolor color pencils, and I promised you that I was going to do a comparison and test and demonstration comparing them to the Faber Castell Polychromos color pencils. Now, these both are supposed to be oil-based colored pencils, but I have some news for you guys, and I have a little surprise for you. I bet you're like, oh no, what is Nisi about to come up with? What crazy ideas does she have about these two amazing sets of pencils now? Well, you know what, guys? I'm about to throw a little something in the mix and put a little something on your mind. Not only am I going to do a comparison test of these two pencil sets, but I'm going to also throw in the comparison of the Caran Luminance colored pencils and of the Derwent Color Soft colored pencils and of the Derwent Light Fast colored pencils. So if you're interested in this amazing, eye-opening comparison and contrast video of these 5 sets of awesome pencils, then you'd better stay tuned. Okay, guys, so I will link this video right here that I did for you a little while ago, talking about the budget pencil companies, how they label their pencils oil-based, wax-based, and so forth, and how it has become something that is kind of like just open-ended words when you see those two labels, oil-based, wax-based. It's become something that doesn't really mean much. Those are not the questions that we should be asking these days in this year and time. This not only is true of the budget pencils, this is also true of our higher end pencils. And I'm going to prove that to you today. Because as you've seen in the intro of this video, I just said that I was going to compare these two sets of pencils to two wax-based sets of pencils, like the Luminance colored pencils are supposed to be wax-based. The Derwent Color Soft professional quality colored pencils are supposed to be wax-based. And I have the Derwent Light Fast colored pencils, which are supposed to be marketed as oil-based colored pencils. I think that's Derwent's first colored pencil that they've come out with, that they have actually advertised it as an oil-based pencil. So we have these two wax-based marketed pencils and the 3 oil-based marketed pencils. Now, if you're shaking your heads right about now in this video going, you know what, I'm about to click off, dislike, because Nisi is on this oil-based, wax-based kick and I don't want to even hear it, then I tell you what, go and get your sets of all these pencils. If you have access to even 2 of these pencils, one or the other, go and get access to them, bring them out, and let's do this test together. Let's get the same colors out of the sets, same pencils, and let's do a feel test. That's what it's all about. The feel of the pencil, the performance of the pencil, how the color lays down. It's not about wax base and oil base anymore, guys and gals. It's about how that pencil lays down that color. What qualities and attributes does it have to get that color saturation, and how it feels in your hands, how it feels on the paper. So, of course, oil-based and wax-based pencils are supposed to perform differently. The characteristics of a wax-based pencil is that it's supposed to be super blendable. It's supposed to be softer, and it's supposed to possibly get wax bloom or get a waxy buildup after time, or if you layer too many layers on there, the color will just build up and build up and build up, and it will just become just a waxy mess. And then the oil-based characteristics are supposed to be that the leads are more harder, more firmer. It's a drier consistency of color laydown. The color saturation is very, very saturated and smooth, but they require you to do more layering than blending. A wax-based pencil is usually good for blending. The oil-based pencils are usually good for layering and using soft, light hand touches. Let's see about all of that today in this video. So right here, I have the 5 sets of colored pencils. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that we will be testing out today. And a couple of the sets I could get exact colors, but the rest of the sets I couldn't quite match the exact colors, but we can still get the same idea of the test that we're about to conduct. So let's get a piece of paper out here. And let's start off with the pencil that I promised you the test on, which are the Lyra Rembrandt Polycolor oil-based color pencils. So what we're going to do is we're going to start out by just doing a color swatch, okay? And I'll put a little L right here for Lyra. I better put the whole word because L is also for Luminance. So I'm going to start with the black. I'm going to do a layer of that black. Now I'm going to just kind of describe to you what I'm feeling as I'm coloring. When I first lay down the color, it feels dry. The laydown is dry. And I think when I describe the word dry, I'm using the opposite of waxy. Either something to me is dry or wet. To me, that waxy kind of feel, like the Prismacolor, it goes down kind of wet to me. Wet, waxy. That's what I relate things to. But dry to me is more like what an oil-based type pencil does. Well, initially, before I really did this test and really got down to it. So the more layers that I add, the more waxy this pencil feels. And when I say waxy, I mean the pencil gets like a stop to it. You know, when you start hearing that sound that sounds like you are coloring with maybe a silicone pencil or a plastic pencil, when you start hearing that noise, like a rubbing noise of plastic on plastic or something, that reminds me of wax. And that reminds me of a buildup of wax, so to speak. So that's what you get when you constantly layer and layer and layer with this pencil. You get that stop, okay? It doesn't continue to feel dry. So let me see if I can let you hear what I'm talking about. You hear that? If you didn't, I'm sorry. I hope you could hear it, but it's kind of like it's that noise there, but softer. So that is how that would look. Beautiful, dark, saturated color, but it has like a stop element to it of wax. So this is the oil-based pencil. Now this one is the brown ochre. So that's how the oil-based color pencils sound at first. Kind of like, okay, I was doing that with my fingernail. Now I'm doing it with the pencil. But as you continue, You get that sound plus a little bit of that kind of a stop wax noise. So there's your Lyra with a heavy hand, a soft hand. Now let's go to our Polychromos. Now this is going to be a little bit surprising to me and probably to you too. So we're going to put Poly right here. Let's start with the black. Now you hear that soft, dry color sound when you do that first layer. That's why this pencil, Polychromos, Lyra, they're good for layering. They're not a blending pencil. Now, do you hear that? As I put more layers on there and just saturate that paper with that color on top, it starts to sound like a wax stop, if that makes any sense. So that is the Faber Castell Polychromos black. Let's bring it up close to you. All right, now let's color with the brown ochre. Those both are the exact same color names. Pretty cool, huh? And pretty much looks like the exact same color. Now you hear that stop? It's almost like that's the sound that a color pencil makes when it's not accepting any more layers. It has stopped accepting layers. So there's the brown ochre in not really the exact same color, but they're very similar. But you see the color lay down and how they're performing. So to be honest, the Lyra actually feels a little less waxy than the Polychromos. The Polychromos feels a little bit more waxier, just a tad bit, teeny, tiny tad bit more waxy than the Lyra Polycolor. But they're both supposed to be oil-based pencils, okay? Now let's go with the last oil-based pencil, which is the Derwent Lightfast. And I'm going to put a D right here, and I think these are the exact same colors just about. So there is a light layer. And let's keep going until we get that paper completely saturated. And you hear that same kind of stop once you get it to a point of complete saturation. There is the Derwent Lightfast. I had better put an L. Put an L there so you can know. These have a dry lay down also. But these feel a little bit more waxier than both the Lyra and the Polychromos. You hear that? But it also has a smoother, feels like a smoother, or looks like a smoother application. Look at that. You see how the Polychromos has kind of a little bit of a blotchiness to the ochre. So does the Lyra, but the Derwent Lightfast does not. You see that? So we have those 3 oil-based pencils. But so far, the Derwent Lightfast feels less waxier or less waxy than both the Poly and the Lyra. and its coverage is more smooth and complete once you get that heavy layer on there. Now for the wax-based pencils. Now this is going to shock you. This is going to knock your socks off. Let's start off with the most waxy of them all. Because this is a super wax-based pencil. This is known to be a wax-based pencil, and that is the Derwent Color Soft. Now, it lays down color. Feels like it's even drier. But, you hear that? It starts to get that wax sound way quicker than the other three pencils. Because, of course, it's supposed to be wax-based. So let's take a look at it up close. Now let's take the ochre, which is not the same color. It's a little bit lighter. I could not find an exact match. You hear that? Super wax base, super waxy, but the coverage is more similar to the Derwent Lightfast, which is an oil-based pencil. And we know that a wax-based pencil or these Derwent Color Softs are more of a blending pencil instead of a layering pencil. Poly, Lyra, they're supposed to be more of a layering pencil, soft layers. That's how they perform best. But why is this Derwent Lightfast supposed to be an oil-based pencil also that's great for layering, but it's also looking to be a good blending pencil? It's performing more like the Derwent Color Soft than it's not performing much like the Lyra and the Polychromos, which are supposed to be oil-based. Now, for the last one, are you ready for your socks to come off? Yes, this is the Luminance Wax Base Colored Pencil. So we're going to do the black, light layer. Feels dry. The laydown feels very dry, like an oil base. Now let's get a heavy layer. Do you hear that? Now, this is where my socks came all the way off. No matter how many layers or how heavy of a hand that I had with these Luminance pencils, I never got that wax sound like I got on all the rest of these pencils. Yes. Believe it. Believe it, guys. Believe it. Now let's do a lighter color. This is the closest color that I could get because I don't have the entire Luminance set. But I plan on getting more of them because this pencil is one of a kind. Now, I'm not telling you to go out there and get Luminance because them little boogers are extremely expensive. But you hear that? You hear that? You hear that? Let me get hard, heavy-handed. Pretty much no matter how hard I press, I don't get that stop. It just continues to glide. And the coverage, even though I have some little funny little thingies there because I pressed too hard on the previous page, the coverage is more like the Derwent Lightfast. It's more smooth. Now let me get an orange color where you can see even more of the smoothness. So if I was to close my eyes and guess which one was supposed to be an oil-based pencil, that was the Luminance. I would guess that it would be the Luminance only. I would guess that the rest of them were some type of more waxier pencil. So between all of these, the Derwent Color Soft, which was expected, it's the most waxy. It's the most, you can tell it has more wax in it than anything. Then I would probably go to the Lyra and say, okay, that one is the least oil-based pencil. If I could have to just say something is oil-based and wax-based. Then I would go to the Polychromos and I would be like, that's next in line. If anything is, on the lower spectrum of being oil-based, then I would say it was the Polychromos by Faber Castell. Then I would go to the Derwent Light Fast and say, that's pretty much, that's an oil-based pencil because of how it colors, the consistency, the smoothness, the thickness. And then I would go to the Luminance and say, that's gotta be an oil-based pencil because it does not have any type of building up of wax. It doesn't have that wax stop to it. And what I mean by that wax stop is what the Derwent Color Soft was doing. It was kind of like stopping at a certain point and starting to sound like plastic on plastic. But the Luminance is marketed as a wax-based pencil. So, what are your thoughts on that, guys? Give me a comment below and tell me, what do you think about this little pencil test that we just went over? Now, someone asked me on my video of the budget pencils, the truth about the budget pencils, oil-based, wax-based, does it matter anymore? They asked me, had I contacted a more reputable company and asked them about this situation? And I didn't respond because I wanted to do a verbal response to that question. Why would I contact Lyra, Derwent, Faber-Castell, Luminance? Why would I? And ask them, hey, can you tell me the percentage of oil versus wax that you have in your pencils? Because guess what? That's a secret. Faber-Castell and Luminance, that formula, that ratio of oil versus wax is actually their personal secret formula. So that's why it's not going to matter to us because we have no clue if their ratios are determining their wax and oil manufacturing or wax or oil marketing. We don't know what that ratio is. You take these two Derwent pencils. One is wax-based, one is oil-based, marketed as. So we don't know if this Color Soft is 49% oil and 51% wax. And then the Derwent Light Fast could be 51% oil and 49% wax. We don't know if it's a 2% difference or what. And it could be on the totally different spectrum of the Luminance. The Luminance could be 50% oil and 49% wax. And they could say, okay, this is a wax-based pencil because it's 49%. But then this Derwent Light Fast, it's an oil-based pencil because it's got 51%. If that makes any sense in the world, guys, comment below and let me know. We don't know the ratios, guys, and the ratios would not matter to us. It only matters to the company and their formula, and so they can tell their manufacturers and the factories, hey, put this amount of this certain type of oil in our pencils. Then it all depends on what type of oil that they're using. Faber-Castell lets you know on their site what type of oil they use. They used a soybean-based type of oil, and it's natural oil, and they mention a little bit more information. I did some research and they tell you a little bit more type of oil that they use in their pencils, but they're not going to tell you the percentage. They're not going to tell you the ratios. So that's something that you'll never know because that's a secret formula. That's what makes their pencil special. Then you have all of the other uh, factors that go into it, whether this pencil colors a certain way. What type of wax did they use? What brand of wax or pigment did they use? How much pigment are they using in the pencils? And what wood are they using? It's just so much that goes into it. Now, the question that we must ask one another when we're trying to decide in whether we want this pencil is not just the flat. Is it oil-based? Is it wax-based? You know what the question is. Well, there's actually multiple questions. So you know what the questions are. How pigmented is the pencil? How soft is the pencil? Because most of the time, what you're looking for either a harder lead pencil or either a softer lead pencil. That's going to be your main concern. But oil-based and wax-based does not mean extra soft or extra hard. So that's not the question anymore, oil-based, wax-based, whether it's soft or hard. Then you need to ask, well, how does the pigment lay down? Is it a blending pencil or is it a layering pencil? Because you have two oil-based pencils. That the Lyra, the Polychromos, they are definitely layering pencils. In order for you not to get this blotchy, splotchy lay down, you have to layer them with light hands. But then guess what? The Derwent Lightfast oil-based pencil, manufactured, marketed as an oil-based pencil, labeled as an oil-based pencil, it's a blending pencil. You can put as much color as you down and blend it all together, and it'll do just fine. So, was this video informative and helpful for you? I know I'm learning a lot on my journey, and I want to take you along with me and have everyone in this coloring community to understand, because there's so much confusion, especially now. When I first started this journey 3 years ago, yes, that was the only questions you needed to ask, because there was not a whole slew of colored pencils out there. I mean, Derwent Lightfast was not even created yet, but here in this year, this time, the colored pencils, even in the budget area, in the budget spectrum, they're coming out with it, one pencil after the other. And there's some very great quality pencils. Some of them can actually hold their own against these very expensive high-end pencils with the coloring aspect. Of course, not with the light fastness, not with the, exact wood casing and quality and so forth, and price, of course. But they can hold their own in how they look in our coloring books. So you can make an educated and informed decision on which one of these possibly that you would like to purchase, or you can make an educated and informed decision on a budget pencil that you might want to purchase. So check out the video that I did before this one when I reviewed the Lyra colored pencils if you have not already looked at that and checked it out. If you haven't, go right on over there and check that out, and check out some of the other videos that I have that shows the tips on how to color, my reviews, my tips, my tricks, because I do a lot of these type of videos. And if you enjoyed this type of video, please consider subscribing to the channel, because I am committed to giving you the best education possible with the best information possible. I'm willing to shoot myself in the foot in order to save your coloring life. So I hope you enjoyed this video, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me and stopping by. Don't forget to like the video if you enjoy adult coloring. Please consider subscribing to the channel, because it lets YouTube know, hey, we like that channel. Suggest it to some more people so that Nisi can start making even more videos. I make videos for you guys almost every day. I post 3 to 4 to 5 times a week, so you can expect new content from me very often. I often do live streams. We hang out together. You can let me know what you prefer to see and what products you'd like to see me use. I also do a lot of reviews, book flip throughs, and book reviews and product reviews. And I also have a YouTube join button where you get extra perks and extra little things all month long with me, even a hangout session where we personally color things together and get advice on coloring projects and so forth. So my wonderful people. Thank you again. Please ring that bell so that you will not miss the next episode, because you do not want to miss the next episode. Have a wonderful rest of the day, guys, and happy coloring. Bye.